Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So these handicap analysis videos, they are available for everyone, not premium, just premium and pro members. Early analysis and things like that are only available for premium and pro members. These videos will stay free for everybody. So I've had a look at the handicap marks and there's a few that's caught my eye. This video is going to be focusing on those over fences. There will be another video coming later today about the hurdlers. So we'll start off with Mare, who actually went up £10 for finishing second at Exeter in a listed novice chase. It'll be interesting to see whether Connections now take their chance on Friday, because having gone up £10, she is obviously going to be on her next run from Saturday onwards. She'll have to carry that mark. However, because she was entered on Friday, it doesn't affect her run on Friday. And to be honest, that looks like plenty of time. There's 11 days there, 20th of November to the 1st of December. I think that's enough time to have got over her run at Exeter. And if she runs on Saturday, she would be... Whilst she would be initially £4 out of the handicap if Colonel Mustard takes his chance, she would still be £6 well in. If Colonel Mustard doesn't run, she'd be £10 well in, which would be very, very interesting for Connections for this race. They might have to run her based on they're £10 well in. So she's just interesting for Friday. Horses that their handicap marks caught my eye. Real Stone up £8 to 131 and won it by a long way, but that's not ideal really, because I wonder whether that race fell apart a bit. There was only 5 runners in it and he got his own way and nothing really challenged him. Is it that he was that far ahead of his mark, or is it that he just fell into an easy race there? I imagine the way he won, and because he's gone up £8, they might try and keep him to similar types of races rather than stepping him up into anything really competitive. And the race that looks ideal is the Castleford Handicap Chase over 2 mile at Wetherby. Obviously, the Skeltons have a good record here. He would be nearish the bottom of the handicap if we got a horse that was rated near the 150 to run. And I think that would be where we might see Real Stone next, which is on the 27th of December. If he turns up there, I'd be interested in him, because I think there'll be 4 or 5 runners again, and he might be able to dictate or get an easy run through. Whereas if he starts getting crowded out, that £8 handicap rise might be tough to overcome. One horse that I do think can overcome a handicap raise, and which was a little bit unlucky, was Crebilly, who's gone up £5 for falling at the last when I think was coming to win the race. Now, with that in mind, we have to try and work out, would he have won? First of all, I think the answer is yes. Would he have won quite nicely? I actually think he would have as well. I know Ginny's Destiny picked up. I still think Crebilly would have won that. And with that in mind, I think Crebilly could have gone up another £3 or £4. Could have gone up, £7, £8, £9 here. And with that in mind, I keep saying that phrase, sorry about that. I think they kind of have to roll the dice with Crebilly here. So he's clearly unexposed. He's only had 7 runs. Very unexposed, still lightly raced, still young. I think they've got to take their chance. So he's had 2 runs at Sandown. He finished 6th in the Imperial Cup. No, he didn't. He finished 6th in the Grade 3 Handicap Hurdle. And then he came back to Sandown and won. And that's where I'd be going with him next. I'd take my chance. Run him in this race here, the Nicky Henderson's Unibet blog. It's for horses rated 0 to 150. It's not bad prize money. It's over 2.5 miles, so he's got plenty in his favour. 2.5 mile, which is what he wants. Sandown, which he clearly runs well at. Fences, which I think he was, up until that fall, he jumped really, really well. And because he could be still well ahead of his mark, I think it's worth taking that chance and going straight for a decent prize money and decent race at Sandown on the 6th of January. That should give him time to get over his fall, whilst also allowing them to get a bit schooling into him and turning up as a novice in that handicap where his 139 mark might still be very lenient, considering he's still only had 7 runs, 1 over fences, 1 run this season. He's only a 6-year-old. I would be keen to run him in a better race next time. Moving on to Freya Darm, who went up £1 to 134, and £1 is kind in the fact that he only went down by half a length to Boot Hill, but you could say it was harsh because maybe he wasn't going to beat Saint Segal anyway and would have finished third anyway. So £1 is maybe about right for that effort. However, with that in mind, he's gone up to 134, and I think they've got to now go and find out whether Cheltenham will suit him. They've got a few of them, Dan Skelton, that could be running in the Grand Annual come the end of the season. Calico, Reelstone, Freya Darm, and even Nube Negra, who I'll discuss in a bit. I think they've got to go to Cheltenham to find out whether he can handle the course. And there is a handicap here, the quintessentially handicap steeplechase over 2 mile on the 16th of December. You go there, you find out whether he likes the track, first of all, and also if you do win, you're then likely to get into the Grand Annual. Whereas at the moment off 134, I think that's unlikely to get into the Grand Annual, so he needs to win a race anyway. So you might as well go and test him at Cheltenham to see if that will suit him. Another horse that I definitely think we should see at Cheltenham next time, there's actually 2 for this same race. The first one is T Clipper. He's got to go back to Cheltenham. His 2 runs at Cheltenham, at the Cheltenham Festival, he finished 6th in the Ultima last year behind Corrick Rambler, Fast or Slow, Monbeg Genius, the Goffer, Oscar Elite. Really good form. There's a Grade 2 winner in Oscar Elite. The Goffer wants a drop-in trip. Monbeg Genius could win the Ladbroke Trophy, Coral Gold Cup, Hennessy, whatever it's called at the weekend. The third was... Who did I say the third was? Monbeg Genius, sorry. Second was obviously Fast or Slow, a dual Grade 1 winner since. And the winner was Corrick Rambler, who's won a Gold Cup, finished third in the Betfair Chase recently. Won a Gold Cup, sorry. He won a Grand National, finished third in the Betfair Chase recently. Really good form. He's still £10 lower, T Clipper, than when he was 6th. He's also ran in 2022. He finished 4th off 145. He could return to the track off 137 in this race here. The Cheltenham Handicap Steeplechase over 3 mile 2. That would be perfect for him. And I'd be very confident of another big run. He's in form. The one I talk about later isn't in form, so may not run as well. Whereas T Clippers finished 2nd the last twice. I'd be very, very confident if he goes to Cheltenham on, what did I say that was? What date? The 16th of December. Everybody is ringing me today. I'm getting loads of spam calls. Anyway, so he would be one I'm very keen on. The next horse, Phlegmatic, finished 2nd at Ascot in a good race behind Your Darling, who had won it the year before. Phlegmatic got dropped £1 to 137. Very, very interesting that, because surely this is their target. The Coral Trophy. He finished 2nd in this last year, beaten a neck by Our Power. Our Power ran him down, and Frodon back in 3rd, and they were well clear of the rest. Now, Phlegmatic ran off 139. He's down to 137. Now, last year, they finished 2nd after finishing 10th and 9th at Kempton and Sandown, respectively, on the 2 runs before. You imagine that's what they're going to try again. Go to Kempton here on the 27th of December, run in this Ladbrokes Handicap Steeplechase, finish out the back. Then go to Sandown, finish out the back. If he turns up, say, £4 lower than what he is currently now, he would actually be £2 lower than when finishing 2nd by a neck. Surely that's what the plan is with Phlegmatic. If he does actually run at Kempton next time, I'll probably back him, just in case they're going, actually, we'll try and win a race this time, instead of putting all our eggs in one basket and trying to get him dropped for the Coral Trophy. But if he disappoints next time, I'm sure we'll see him back in February for this race, and probably off a similar mark to what he ran off last year. The next horse I want to talk about is Nube Negra. Dropped £2 to 158. And do you know what? I think he's starting to get potentially nicely handicapped with a handicap in mind. And that handicap could well be the Grand Annual. Now, Dan Skelton, as I've mentioned, has got the likes of Calico, Reelstone, Freya Darm that could all end up in the Grand Annual. But I think Nube Negra could as well. Nube Negra is not going to win a champion chase. He's not going to beat all of those champion chase horses, John Bon, El Fabiolo. Straight away, those two are going to beat him. If Dysart Dynamo turns up and actually runs to his best, he'll beat him. Captain Guinness, probably beat him. Nube Negra's not going to win that Grand Annual. So what's the point of targeting at it? What they should do is just run him in all the Grade 1s. Hope to keep bumping into the likes of John Bon, Captain Guinness, El Fabiolo. If you drop, say, £4 down to 154 and then run him in the Grand Daniel, he could make light work of that mark. I sometimes feel that these horses that are not good enough for Grade 1s, continually running them, they then start to become well handicapped, and then they still run in the Grade 1s. And they don't look at that handicap mark and go, actually, why don't we run in the handicap off top weight and see how we get on? And I think they would win a Grand Daniel if they turned up off, say, 154, 155. The next horse that you definitely need to give a chance to is Nurse Susan. She dropped £2 to 125 for her first run after 613 days off the track. Forgive her that run. She'll have needed that run. She's only rated 125. Do you know who she was second to at Lingfield? Love Envoy. Do you know who she should have finished second to at Cheltenham? Love Envoy. Or Love Envoy. That's really good form. She had her first run over fences after 600 and something days off the track, and she's only rated 125. For me, that is a super handicap mark. I think she'll be rated around 140 come the end of the season. And with that in mind, wherever she goes next, hopefully they target a moderate novice handicap chase. I think she'll win it. And then end up building on that and going forward. So she's definitely one you want to keep an eye out for. The next horse I want to talk about is very similar to Nube Negra. Editor de Gite. Dropped £3 to 159. Again, isn't going to win a champion chase. Just isn't good enough. But going from the front, trying to make all the running, could certainly work in a Grand Daniel. And with that in mind, again, you need to be running in all the Grade 1 events. See if you can get your horse dropped a few pounds. Again, off 155-ish, Editor de Gite would go very, very close in a Grand Daniel. To be honest, if Editor de Gite and Nube Negra both turned up off 155, I think I'd fancy Editor de Gite. Because I think he would run all the rivals into submission, whereas Nube Negra would be weighted right out the back in the Grand Daniel and have to pass all the runners, probably run into trouble. Editor de Gite from the front, I think, would take all of the beating. But obviously that's for future, needs to drop a few pound in the handicap. But one to keep in mind. The next horse is another one who's dropping significantly in the handicap. Dropped down there. Now down to 150. Dropped another £3 for her? Is it her? His last run. Dropped £3. But where do you go with Funambule Savola now? Simple. You come back here. You come back for this handicap chase at Doncaster on the 27th of January. So you would imagine the long-term plan with this horse is to win 3 consecutive Game Spirit chases at Newbury. Well, 2 years ago, they did the same thing. They went to Doncaster, won the handicap. They then went to Newbury and won that. What better way to get back into form than going to Doncaster, winning a handicap, which I think they would off 150. I believe it won it off 152. Funambule Savola won the handicap off 152, could turn up off 150. You would think he would have a huge chance for Venetia Williams. So keep an eye out for Funambule Savola on the 27th of January. A little bit of time to wait, 2 months, but definitely one that I'm keeping my eye out for. And the final one is another one that's dropped significantly in the handicap. So Cepage hasn't run very much recently. You can see the layoffs. 270 days, 340 days, 371 days. Is now an 11-year-old. But if there is one race that they might as well run in to see if he retains any of his ability, bearing in mind he probably needed the run at the weekend, last week, sorry. If there's a race to run in, it is this 3 mile 2 handicap that T Clipper is also going to run in. T Clipper, as I mentioned, would be running off a mark of 137 and has run well off marks of 147 and 145. Now, Cepage has similar form in terms of he's also finished 7th and 4th in Ultimas, but they came off 155 and 158, so another £10 from T Clipper. Cepage and T Clipper would both run off 137, and if Cepage retained any of his ability, he would go very, very close there. And that's where I think we will see Cepage next. It kind of then determines whether there's any ability left in Cepage. Cepage would probably be a bigger price than T Clipper. T Clipper would probably go off like favourite or 6s, 7-1 sort of thing. Cepage might go off 16s, 18s, 20s, but would be worth a bet because he could be exceptionally well handicapped. It wasn't that long ago, it was only 4 runs ago that he ran in the Ultima, finished 4th off a mark of 158, £21 higher. So yeah, I think Cepage is interesting. It's not too long to wait. It's only the 16th of December, so he's one we could see then. So there's a few horses that we definitely want to be adding to our NAGME or keeping an eye out for. Particularly, I like Krabilly if he runs at Sandown. Both of those, T-Clipper and Cepage for Cheltenham. Nurse Susan, wherever it goes next. Funambus Savola if it goes to Doncaster. And keep an eye out for those handicap marks of the Nube Negras, Editor de Gites, Phlegmatics with future races in mind. Thanks for listening, and hopefully we've highlighted a few subsequent winners here.